Today we're going to talk about the immune system. Just like any of the other systems we've been talking about, the immune system also helps the body to maintain homeostasis. And it does that by performing these two essential functions. First of all, the immune system produces antibodies. We can see in this picture here, these purple little circles, these are different pathogens or viruses or bacteria. And these little white things that are attached to them, these are called antibodies. And these are produced by some various cells within the immune system that we're going to talk about in a later slide. But these antibodies help alert your immune cells to come fight these invaders. And that happens to be the second function of the immune system, and that is to fight off foreign invaders within the body. And you can see in this picture down here, this is a type of white blood cell, and it has been alerted to the fact that there's an invader, that little orange bacteria, and you can see it's throwing out this projection that's kind of like a hand or an arm, and it's engulfing that bacteria, and it's taking it inside, and then it is digesting that bacteria and spitting out the dead pieces of it. Now we have some major organs within the immune system that we need to talk about. And right here we're just going to list these organs, and in another slide we're going to talk about their functions. So the organs we want to talk about are the bone marrow, the thymus, the spleen, the lymph nodes, and the skin. So first let's talk about the bone marrow. The bone marrow makes white blood cells, and many of these blood cells are immature and can't perform their functions, so they need to move elsewhere within the immune system to kind of grow up and learn to be mature blood cells. And one place they do this is within the thymus. In the thymus, white blood cells mature into T cells. And we're going to learn about the function of T cells in a later slide. Now the spleen is another place where white blood cells mature, but when this occurs in the spleen, they mature into B cells. And again, we'll talk about the function of B cells in a later slide. And you have these little structures all throughout your body called lymph nodes. If you have ever been sick before, maybe with a sore throat or a cold, and you got these swollen, painful lumps on the sides of your neck, well, those are lymph nodes. And lymph nodes are really found everywhere throughout your body. They're found on your neck, in your arms, and your legs, surrounding your internal organs, and these are little pieces of tissue that help to filter virus and bacteria particles from the blood. And finally, your skin. Your skin is actually your first line of defense for your immune system. Your skin forms this protective barrier all over your body to keep foreign invaders from giving you an infection. Okay, now we're going to talk about the players of the immune system, and these are the cells in the immune system. And there's a couple of different types that we need to talk about. And first we want to talk about T cells and B cells. And these are those mature white blood cells. And they produce these proteins called antibodies. And antibodies attach to different invaders, such as viruses and bacteria. And when these antibodies attach to the virus or bacteria, it kind of sends out this alert signal to the rest of the immune system. It's like, whoop, 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 we have an invader, please remove this invader. And so it throws up this signal to specialized white blood cells called macrophages. And these antibodies help the macrophages to recognize that these organisms are foreign and do not belong inside your body. And then when the macrophages find these cells that have these different antibodies attached to them, they attach to those cells and they destroy them. So the macrophages destroy the invaders. They destroy the viruses and the bacteria. Okay, and just like any other organ system that we've talked about, the overall function of the organ systems are to maintain homeostasis in the body. But no organ system can do this on its own. We've talked about this with the other organ systems, and the immune system's the same. It cannot perform this function on its own. It relies on interactions with other organ systems. So that is what we are going to talk about next. So the first organ system that the immune system interacts with is the circulatory system. And the circulatory system takes all of these immune cells, these white blood cells, these T cells, these B cells, and these macrophages, and transports them throughout the body. They need to get to the site of the infection, and they need a way to get there. And the circulatory system, the bloodstream, is the way they get there. So think of your circulatory system as like the highway. And next, your immune system interacts with your lymphatic system. And let's remember the lymphatic system is comprised of your lymph nodes, your thymus, and your spleen. And they help produce white blood cells in that the thymus and the spleen really take those immature white blood cells and help them to mature into T cells and B cells. And then also your spleen and lymph nodes filter these virus and bacteria particles out of the blood. And your immune system interacts with your skeletal system when bone marrow is making white blood cells. So your skeletal system makes those white blood cells that make up your immune system. And finally, your integumentary system. Remember, that's your skin. And your immune system is interacting with the integumentary system when the skin is preventing these invaders, these viruses, these bacteria, all these foreign bodies from entering your body. And let's quickly, one last review of what homeostasis is. We've been talking about this at the cellular level, and now we're talking about it at the organism level. Remember, homeostasis is the maintenance of stable internal conditions.